sont dits à tout.
All right.
Speaking of crazy, stuff that's going around the internet and on television, and just weird propaganda shit like what's going on with YouTube. You wanted to talk about the recent commercial by Sprite.
Yes. Right. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Sprite recently put out an ad, pandering to a very small portion of society, and that's not my opinion. That's just fact. And honestly, it was very subversive. Because this particular ad panders to the alphabet community, and it's not necessarily, there's nothing necessarily wrong to pander, but just usually when you have an ad for a product or a service, you would typically highlight that product or service within the ad itself. But that doesn't happen until the very end of the ad. So for a minute and a half, it's more or less them. Sprite is more or less lecturing to its prospective customers or consumers.
From a couple months ago, with the kind of talking about how their clientele that buys their products is awful.
Remember, you're talking about Gillette.
Yeah. It kind of had that kind of flavor to it a little bit, where it's just what, you don't like this, bigot? It's that's kind of the vibe I get from that Sprite commercial.
Right. At least some of the pushback, that Sprite itself or some of the defenders of the particular ad, are voicing. It's you're just, you're just a bigot. It's yeah, I'm a bigot that's no longer drinking Sprite.
Well, I mean, now I don't drink Sprite a lot, but it's most famously they are a huge sponsor of the NBA, and
right.
A lot of times we're seeing the commercials. We get guys like LeBron James, a lot of these top basketball stars. I think Kobe Bryant was in some. You had all sorts of guys from the NBA.
And Drake was a former spokesperson.
Yeah, Drake was in there, and honestly, they were kind of fun. It was they were nice, fun commercials, and that was kind of where Sprite's niche. And I don't know if going this direction is going to help them any, because the whole commercial is, like I said, what we were saying is there's no Sprite to be seen anywhere in the commercial. It's not oh yeah, Sprite's awesome, hey, my little Sprite, have a Sprite. It's it's not
right.
There's
I think we were noting before the show started that Sprite pandering to the alphabet community, where Sprite was or is considered a slur against it.
Yeah.
The irony there is just too delicious. It's too delicious.
But the fact that it's like I said, it's nowhere within the commercial, and until the very, I was are we watching a Glad commercial, some sort of alphabet community project, something or other? Which that's fine if they want to run commercials like that, but this is like Sprite. What the fuck does any of this have to do with Sprite? Nothing. It was just
right. Yeah, what does a lemon lime soda have to do with being of the alphabet community persuasion?
Like I said, you can make if you want to make commercials and cater towards things that I don't like, that's fine. But it's like at least either make them funny in some sort of way, or like actually showcase some sort of product that it's representing. Don't just like all of a sudden have this virtue signaling garbage and then throw up a logo at the end. It's like, that's our commercial. It's like, whoa, how is that going to sell your product?
Right. I mean, right. I know. Like what? And I mean, not to be doing them any favors, but okay, just indulge me for a little bit. Here's an idea for an ad that might that's panders, but that still advertises the drink. Okay, say that you have this young man, and he's with he's with his friends, and he's trying to figure out makeup, right? And they both be happening to be drinking Sprite.
Right.
And then it's kind of secret. The parents don't know yet, and then the mom walks in, finds her son putting on eyeshadow or whatever, and it gets really awkward. And then the friend leaves, and then and then the mom and the son's worried and looking down, like thinking about possibly what the mom might be saying. And then the mom just grabs the eyeshadow brush and is like no, you're making yourself look like a prostitute, and then like helps teaches them how to put makeup on.
What also would have worked in this?
And then
why I'm helping it out with this commercial thing is like, you have like, let's say you have the Sprite somewhere like located near the characters,
mm-hmm.
and then like the wig that's used, or eyeshadow, whatever the fuck that they're using, like make it like this Sprite like label like color.
Oh yeah, like the lemon and the lime, yellow and green, like as the wig.
Yeah, well, that kind of the green and silver logo that they have.
Yeah,
you're using those type of colors throughout the the theme of the commercial. It's like that way at least you're kind of drawing back to the product itself, along with like, you don't have to necessarily talk about like having the Sprite there. Like, I don't need to talk about the Sprite, but if you have the colors there and like kind of the product somewhere within the
right. It doesn't have to they don't have to necessarily put it on, but like it could be like the wig, like the yellow and green wig could be like on a mannequin stand in the back. It's like, oh, I was like, it took me a really long time, and like the mom could be like, oh, it took me a really long time to master makeup too, and then and it could end like right then and there, But at least then like the product is like at least there in the beginning, right? And then you're just like saying, oh, Sprite is a proud whatever supporter of alphabet people, blah 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 blah. End commercial.
That would have been that would have been a better commercial, and I might not. That's like, but oh god, it's awful. It's just pandering nonsense that doesn't even like sell their own product. And I guarantee that none of those people are going to buy Sprite just because of that commercial.
I know. It's like anything. It's like when I mean, going back to the the Gillette thing, and after like that commercial came out, it was basically saying, oh, all men are bad, all men are racist. Or, I mean, not all. I mean, all men are sexist, and toxic masculinity and all that kind of stuff. They took a hit. They did take a hit, and it was just, and it, you could say that it's not that big a deal, but they took an 8. I think, was it million or billion?
I don't think it was billion, but I know it was definitely in the millions. They took a huge hit.
Right, like it was like 8 or maybe even 80 million. Like hit, like I think like either like a devaluation or something that's not necessarily revenue based, but just like kind of like what basically what the company's worth.
Their stock price went way down.
Probably something associated with that, but yeah, they took it. and they might downplay it and be like, oh, it's really not that much, but it's like, if you think about it, like $80 million, that's a lot of fucking money.
That wasn't insignificant. It's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't tell the people that the majority of the people that buy our product that they're all terrible, evil people. Maybe we should have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are. Gillette does make razors for women, which are actually kind of a little bit of a side note. They're actually better razors than some of the guy ones.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a little bit. The metal's a little bit sharper because from what I understand, like the hair on like women's legs can be a little bit like more dense and harder to shave.
Mm-hmm.
So they require sharper blades. So if you're looking for a really close shave, don't feel bad buying the women's razors. They're actually a little bit better. A little bit sharper. So I mean, it's not completely like insignificant. They do have a female clientele too, but like it's at a fraction of the amount of men that buy Gillette products.
Right.
And it's and the fact that you're telling 80% of your clientele that they're garbage, I wouldn't buy their product again.
Right. I mean, and think of it the other way around, where they made like a Lady Gillette ad saying like, women, stop nagging your husbands, or stop being such a such a hen to and stop pecking your husbands, or make your do something nice for your husband every once in a while, make him a sandwich, and stop talking so much. Imagine if they made a commercial like that. Imagine that they made a commercial like that. The outrage would split the planet in half.
Oh God, that company I think would not.
That company would be scorched earth. When nothing would be left of nothing would be left of Gillette. If like Lady Gillette made a commercial like that, where it's like, wives, you should really stop nagging your husband so much about X, Y, or Z, and maybe every once in a while make him a sandwich and don't talk so much while the game is on. Never gonna happen. But for some reason, it's okay to bash on that. But to bring it back to the Sprite commercial, I mean, we're not idiots. I understand that this commercial was, put out for the Argentinian market, but it's on the web. It's out there for everyone to see. So it's not just Argentina.
But
that's seeing this, and Argentina being within Latin America, they do have a more religious base, but
there's a stronger Catholic representation down in South America. So it's like they're trying to kind of break those barriers, I guess.
Right. But again, this thing was online. Not just people in art. It would be one thing if this was like pre-internet, and it was just aired on Argentinian TV. But the interesting thing though is at the end, it's like the whole pride is watching your child be who they are. That was in English.
Yeah.
And I mean, last time I checked, the predominant language in Argentina was Spanish.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
Yeah. So who is this ad really for? I mean, if it was in Spanish, that'd be a completely different thing. I'd be like, okay, they're trying to target the Spanish-speaking demographic, but.
Well, remember, we're just a community of nations. There's no such thing as like borders or countries anymore, Andy. Remember?
Of course, but they think like anything English or American is the devil. So I don't know why you're using the language of the devil. Just using their. I'm just using their logic. That's the funny thing. I'm just using their logic.
You know, the funny thing is though, like, because they don't because yes, Spanish comes from Spain. Spain is a European country. Spain has a lot of white people too that just happen to speak a different language.
Right.
Yeah, and they no one talks about that because they have complete, like, and those surveys and stuff that they the censuses and stuff like that they take, that and all the government documents, they separate that part out in
Of course they do.
So it's like other white, like Spanish white or whatever.
Oh yeah, like Hispanic white or Hispanic non-white.
Yeah.
Ah, madre de Dios.